You're listening to The Burning Truth. Ladies and gentlemen, dude and dudettes, I am your host, Matt Burns, and I will state this episode is a pre-recorded episode that has happened earlier today. Now, the reason why the episode is being done earlier today is because due to me being at Future Championship Wrestling, most likely to be doing commentary, and, also, just generally getting, doing the one thing I always state at the end of every episode is checking out my local wrestling, even though it's not local to me. But I am checking a wrestling company out. I'm always checking FCW, Future Championship Wrestling. I'm always usually there, providing commentary and also, wanting to, watch progression of the talent that is there as well. Now, I just thought I'd just mention this to you, that there will be some more roster reveals for the UKWA tomorrow, as the UKWA has been doing. However, there will most likely be additional announcements throughout next week, possibly, in regards to certain current events, which I am not stating on this episode, but I will just mention that there is a possibility of additional announcements being made. So please do keep an eye out on the UKWA, also known as the UK Wrestling Alliance. Now, with that out the way, let's get down to the whole fact of SummerSlam. I will say, great event. Great pay-per-view. Absolutely enjoyed it. And, I feel as though WWE knocked it out of the park. But at the same time, there were certain results. One of them, not going to be stating the results, because as I've always stated, if anybody wants to see the results of any of the events, they can possibly go on to www.wwe.com. Or if necessary, just watch it on the WWE Network, as it's still on there for for the usual monthly subscription, which is just $9.99. You're welcome, Vince McMahon. But there is certain matches where the fans were not exactly pleased with the results, but at the same time, some of the actions that followed, the WWE fans did agree with, but they might not be going. There were twists and turns that WWE are hoping to push, but it's not going to exactly push the way they want. All I'll just state is, the one thing I'm referring to is most likely Becky Lynch. Because if I'm not mistaken, they tried to turn her heel, and it's not taking. It's not taking. For the simple fact is, fans have been waiting for Becky Lynch to unleash this fiery personality. She is the last kicker, which she hasn't been doing much last kicking. She's been getting some wins, but then all of a sudden she did what she did, and she looked like a badass, genuinely like a badass. In regards to the whole Lesnar and Roman Reigns thing, well, I didn't see that coming. Yes, as most people, this is probably going to be the only, the only result I'm going to mention in regards to SummerSlam and such. Roman Reigns, new champion. Way! But the whole thing with having Braun Strowman was absolutely brilliant, fantastic, produced a lot of great ideas, but it didn't. I think the fans would have been left a bit more happy if Braun was able to cash in and possibly may have left with the championship. But at the same time, I can see that WWE wanting to push Roman, which the reason why they're pushing Roman is most likely due to some news I'll be mentioning a bit later on. And one more match I thought had a bit of a result I didn't expect, but I'm happy with the results either way, which was the AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. Now, as much as I predicted that AJ Styles would, be leaving with the championship, I liked how they did it. I liked how they actually did it. It was very clever, brilliant, and you can see what's coming. You can genuinely see what is coming, which is the fact that most likely AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe at Hell in a Cell, and I can see Samoa Joe possibly coming away with the victory. Because they're pushing that boundary, that line, but we'll have to wait and see what WWE have in store for us in regards to that. But that's enough for, me discussing SummerSlam. But let's get down to one piece of news I thought was absolutely brilliant, which is The Shield making a return. Absolutely fantastic the way they did it, because they did it as more or less of a counter for Braun Strowman having the money in the bank to cash in against Roman. Now, I know that we were trying to possibly push Braun stating, I'm telling you this, I'm going to be doing it in front of your face. But then he's doing it after a match. After he's, after Roman's already had a match. But at least this time they got it corrected and done it, for next week. That he is basically calling out Roman to face him one-on-one and to fight him for the championship. Interesting, that is. Very. But the thing that caught me by surprise is when Strowman came out, you got Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins come out just as the bell was about to ring, which it didn't, just to point that out. Which means the Money in the Bank match, cash-in didn't take place. Otherwise, if it had, then technically Strowman would have lost his Money in the Bank. So in actual fact, Dean, Seth, you could have waited a few seconds and got the Money in the Bank, but that probably would have pushed the narrative that's a possibility a bit too much out as well. The way it looked, they were trying to get Roman cheered for having the Shield coming back, nostalgia, great, but it looked kind of arsehole-ish at the same time. The fact that you got Strowman, who's earned his chance to fight for that championship at any time, come out, and just as he's about to claim, his match, which is his right, Roman gets his boys to, bust him out of a jam. It seemed a bit arsehole-ish, especially with the build-up to it. He ain't scared of him or anything. Which makes people believe, is he going to be turning heel? But if that is the case, then won't that automatically turn Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose along with them as well? Now, in the fans' eyes, it's going to look like they're making Roman heel, but in WWE eyes, they're trying to push Roman as the top face. And to just get this one out of the way, the reason why I think WWE are most likely going to be pushing Roman to high heaven is because he has finally done something that no one in WWE has done in a long, long time. Which is, John Cena is no longer the number one merch sale superstar for WWE. Roman Reigns is. Now, a lot of people say, oh, well, some people could argue, in regards to that, oh, he's being pushed down our throats, and it's, John Cena hasn't been on TV as well. Regardless of it, John Cena was still polarising as such, and has been doing, other stuff as well. He's still been providing entertainment, And I will agree that fair enough, John Cena hasn't been around to be able to advertise his own merch, where Roman has. But yes, I can understand that it does look like Roman is being pushed down our throats. But regardless of it, as much as you can see what WWE are doing, it's almost like bit like what happened with Cena. Cena was hated while also being loved. Regardless of whether you're loved or hated, regardless of it, Roman Reigns right now, regardless of being in the position that he's in, he is the number one merch selling superstar for WWE, be it hated or loved. Which says, regardless of it, whether you like him or hate him, you are talking about him. You are, and it's weird because it does bring up the old attitude of, any news is good news, or it's like any publicity is good publicity, as the sort of some might say. Now, not all publicity is good. I will state that, because if you did something massively drastic, get on out of here. But it is very, very interesting to see what they're going to be doing with the whole fact of Roman Reigns against Braun Strowman. Now that Braun Strowman has challenged Roman Reigns to meet him up on Raw next week. Now, speaking of that, WWE have actually possibly had some of their match announcements done a bit early by arena venues. Well, by the arena venue for the WWE Hell in a Cell, which is the fact that there is talk of a Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns match taking place, which could be a result of the supposed challenge by Braun Strowman stating to Roman Reigns, I want to meet you on Raw, and that could end up being the match that ends up being booked through Strowman using his Money in the Bank briefcase, potentially. Now, on top of that, right, what else has been announced is we've also got a possibility of AJ Styles versus, Samoa Joe, and we've also got the possibility of Shield members Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler and his right hand man Drew McIntyre, which that would be an interesting match. But as for who I think would win, wait for predictions when I do actually do them on the blog, later on or more closer to it, because I need to see what current events happen. But I'm actually interested in seeing what's next. Now, supposedly, that Brock Lesnar has got a rematch that an obligated rematch that is stated within the contract that he needs to have, blah, blah, blah. And Kurt Angle stating he's got no chance of having that match. Now, one or two things are either going to happen. Either Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman, if they do actually have that match, could end up being triple threat. Or whatever happens after, they could be saving the Brock Lesnar versus Roman possibly for Survivor Series. A bit further down, as that would most likely, whatever the match is that Brock Lesnar does come back for, that would most likely possibly be his last match for the WWE in regards to his contracted appearances as such, which it's about, which when Brock Lesnar does come back, he should not be winning the WWE title at all. He should be done and should be moving on for his next venture with UFC. But enough of that grumble, because the fact that Brock Lesnar is no longer the Universal Champion is not going to be an issue anymore. As much as, yes, I did complain about it and whatnot. Yes, Brock Lesnar was a legitimate. It was great storyline that he was appearing now and again. I just feel as though he should have appeared a lot more, and he probably did more damage in regards to the WWE Universal Championship by not appearing. Now, fingers crossed. Hopefully, with the Universal Championship being on Raw now regularly, it should actually get more of a presence, get more, more notoriety, get more knowledge, get more, looked into, and be treated as such. But at the same time, WWE, I feel as though you need to stop putting the WWE Universal Championship over the WWE Championship, because WWE Championship has been your main title for how many years, and regardless of if Roman is your number one selling guy, you should be advertising your main championship that has all of the history that it has. Should be pushing that far more. But that's just my personal preference. But let's move on from that. And one more thing I wanted to discuss is that a Guinness World Record was broken by a WWE channel, which is Up Up Down Down, with the host Austin Creed, which some know as Xavier Woods, New Day normally on there, which the record that's been broken is most subscribed celebrity video gaming channel, and it's, if I'm not mistaken, with it, from the looks from what the announcements, it was at the time when he was given the record, the actual Guinness World Record, it was standing at 633,500. Tongue twisted there. I'll repeat. It is 1,633,509 subscribers. Congratulations to Up Up Down Down. I no doubt that they'll most likely be continuing on with that Guinness book, that Guinness World Record by just getting more subscribers almost every day for how much they. And I have to give massive credit to Austin Creed / Xavier Woods and WWE themselves for the fact that they have actually been pushing it. And what's so clever about it, it also allows the fans to connect more with any of the wrestlers that do make an appearance on it. Shows that they actually have a personality. And I just think the whole general idea of what they've done is absolutely brilliant, and it shows that they're not above also making a joke of themselves by even doing challenges where losers has to do sort of like a forfeit challenge or a punishment as such. It's funny, it is. So congratulations to WWE Austin Creed / Xavier Woods, and congratulations to Up Up Down Down for being the most subscribed celebrity video gaming channel. Now, that is all I'm going to be doing for this week's episode. Yes, I know this has been shorter than usual, but this is due to my time schedule being very, very short. I wish I could have done it the previous day, but unfortunately, I had numerous things popping up on me, unfortunately, that delayed me, and by the time I could have actually done the actual recording, it was pretty much go to bedtime. So unfortunately, this is why this week's episode is a shorter one than usual. It could be. I'll just double check if it has been shorter. Well, shorter than what I normally aim for. But with that, I'm just going to get straight down to plugs, which is I recommend you all checking out the UKWA, also known as the UK Wrestling Alliance, on their social media, as I definitely know that the UK Wrestling Alliance is building a website, but more on that when it's actually completed and all for everyone to see. But hopefully, the second I do actually have that, I'll probably have some links in regards for that on the website. But UK, please check out UKWA, also known as UK Wrestling Alliance. Check out UK Wrestling Media, which is also known as UKWM. as I do fantastic media work and such, and have actually helped me out with wrestling interviews in the past, or video interviews in the past. They do fantastic work. JT Printing and Stitching, as I've stated previously, they do fantastic work, especially with polo shirts, which I've even got one myself. You know, I wouldn't give the shout out if I didn't think that they were good. And I want you to check out Changes for Health and Well-Being, because the information that's on there could actually end up helping yourself with any health and, you know, with mental health as well and your own well-being. But at the same time, it might not just be helpful for yourself. It could be helpful to anyone that you might know of. You never know. So please check the Changes website. I'd like to also give a massive shout out to Team 4-Star. As always, as they usually have in the past done the Dragon Ball Z Bridge series, which has been on a bit of a hiatus at the moment. I'm still waiting for that next episode, but we'll have to continue to wait for when that episode comes out. I recommend you check out bands as such like The New Breed, Kamens, absolutely knocking it out of the park almost every week. They've always got new stuff, new material coming out, so please give them a check out. I've also got to do my usual weekly mention of Botchamania. You're welcome, Matthew, and keep up the fantastic work. You always bring a smile to my face. I also recommend you checking out Barely Average Studios, which is a YouTube gaming review channel. And last but not least, I want you to check out Fatal Misfire, which is a game streaming on Twitch. As he does some interesting. At the moment, if I'm not mistaken, he's currently just doing Destiny 2. From the last time I actually checked him out, but in case anybody wants to check that, Fatal Misfire out, he usually does his streaming on HTTP. I'll just mention the full website instead of the whole HTTP now. Instead, it's at twitch.tv/Fatal Misfire HD, and he is usually streaming on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, starting any time between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. GMT. GMT/BST time, also known as UK Standard Time, and he does, I believe, do some weekends ones, but that varies on availability, on whether he has any spare time available to do it. But do check him out, and as such, all the plugs that I've actually mentioned so far are actually on the Burning Truth website, which I'm now going to move on to as the last thing to plug. Of course, of course the social media, and what I'm just going to be stating now is it's most likely where you're going to be possibly either listening to this episode, or where you can listen to any live broadcast episodes, any past broadcast episodes, any past interviews, show reviews, written and also audio, merchandise for for a snazzy t-shirt, and of course some office mugs, which can also be used for great presents, and a blog which I have been using at the moment mostly for predictions, but I do actually have a blog that's actually being worked on. It's just getting round to it while I've also been dealing with current events, with me being involved with the UKWA, doing commentary, trying to get back, doing more, doing more wrestling shows for myself and as such. And and it's also where you can also contact myself as well. And last, for the actual website as such, we've got the links page, which is most of the actual stuff I've just plugged either has a link on there or will have a link on there in at some point. So please check that out. So if anybody, even though I may not have actually mentioned actual direct links on the broadcast, you can actually go onto the Burning Truth website, click on the links page, and you'll have the links all there in regards to what I've plugged today. And last but not least, I recommend you check out social media, Facebook, the Burning Truth Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Wrestling's Fourth Wall, the Twitter, which is Wrestling's Fourth Wall, spelled WRESLING, fourth wall, and the Instagram, which is also The Burning Truth. Now, the website, I noticed I didn't mention the website for The Burning Truth, which is www.theburningtruthuk.com, so please check that out. And with social media, I recommend you all check out your local wrestling shows. For just for example, check out any wrestling if possible, like United Wrestling. Check out any shows like Fusion Pro Wrestling for You, which, if I'm not mistaken, I'm also involved with in 2 weeks' time. As I have stated, if I'm not mistaken, the Pro Wrestling for You, I've also revealed that I am going the full Monty, which means I don't mean this is like anything like the Full Monty movie. This is the Full Monty match, which is a Rumble match. So if anybody wants to check that out, please check that out on the Pro Wrestling for You social media. But as such, some on social media, certain wrestling companies do actually give away some free tickets on there just by doing something as simple as liking, sharing, as such. But check out all social media of any local shows as such, or any wrestling that you're interested in visiting as such. So please check it out. And last but not least, that will be a wrap up for this week. So as always, I'm going to recommend you all to stay well, stay safe, and I'll hopefully catch you next week. And last but not least, as always, check out your local wrestling.